She didn't even say hello, just looked me up and down like I didn't belong, like my seat was a mistake, like maybe I had wandered in by accident. First class was already half full, and I was standing there with my carry-on, boarding pass in hand, aisle 2A. She stood near the front galley, arms crossed, that tight little flight attendant smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Ma'am," she said, tilting her head, "are you sure you're in the right section?" I blinked. Yes, seat 2A. I held up the pass, printed clearly, first, no confusion. She didn't even look at it, just raised one brow. And this was upgraded. Her tone said everything, like the idea of me, black in sweats, natural curls out. Sitting in first class was hilarious. I stayed calm. I always do. Years of practice. "No upgrade," I said. "I paid for this seat." That got a few side eyes from the other passengers. A man 2 rows back adjusted his tie and looked away fast when I caught him. The flight attendant pursed her lips. "Of course," she said flatly. "Please take your seat then, quickly, we have others boarding." I walked to my seat and sat down, heartbeat tight in my chest. I'd been here before. Not this airline, maybe, not this exact moment, but this feeling, the scrutiny, the judgment, the quiet suspicion that clings to you like a smell you didn't choose. I placed my carry-on under the seat, took a breath, tried to let it go, but then she came back, still standing in the aisle. "Do you have your receipt?" she asked. I turned to look at her. "Excuse me? Your proof of purchase, just a standard verification." No one else showed theirs, I said, calm, steady. I just saw 3 people sit without a word. "Ma'am, I'm asking everyone the same," she lied. "Please don't make this difficult." My mouth was dry. I knew what this was. So did she. I reached for my phone and pulled up the email with the booking confirmation, showed her. She barely glanced at it, nodded once and walked off. No apology, no smile, just gone. A woman across the aisle gave me a look, that mixture of pity and discomfort. She didn't say anything. No one ever does. We all just absorb it, quietly, alone. I leaned back and looked out the window. The tarmac shimmered under morning light. The jet bridge clanked. More passengers shuffled on. 10 minutes passed. Then she came back, again. "I'm sorry," she said, voice too sweet, "but I'm going to need you to step aside for a moment. There's a seating discrepancy." "No, there isn't," I said, firmer now. "I already showed you everything. Mum?" Now her tone sharpened. "If you don't comply, we'll have to delay boarding." I felt all eyes on me. A man 2 rows behind whispered something to his wife. A teenager peeked over his AirPods. I stood slowly, grabbed my bag. She gestured toward the front galley. "Just wait over there while we sort this out." I walked up, stood next to the flight deck door, heat in my face. She whispered something to another attendant who looked over at me and frowned. They both vanished behind a curtain. I stood there like a problem, like luggage someone forgot to check. 5 minutes, 10. People walked past me like I was invisible, like I wasn't supposed to be there. A pilot passed by and nodded politely. At least someone remembered how to be human. Then I heard her voice again. "We're still verifying your payment," she said, stepping out. "These things happen sometimes." "To who?" I asked. "To who do they happen?" She blinked. "Excuse me. You didn't question the white man with the golf hat or the blonde woman with the Gucci bag. Just me." "Mum, I don't appreciate the insinuation." And I don't appreciate being pulled from my seat in front of a whole plane. We locked eyes. Hers were steel. I didn't flinch. Then the gate agent came in, a short woman with a tablet. "We've confirmed her ticket," she said. "There's no issue. Seat 2A is hers." The attendant smiled, thin, tight. Of course, must have been a system delay. I didn't move, just stared at her. "You gonna apologize?" I asked. Her smile dropped. "Excuse me? You humiliated me. You assumed I didn't belong. You made me prove myself, twice, in front of everyone." She shifted. "Let's not make a scene." I laughed. "Oh, honey, you already did." I walked back to my seat. People avoided eye contact. Some looked out windows. One man gave me a slow nod. Not pity, respect, maybe. I sat back down, buckled in, eyes closed, breathing deep. Then it happened, the moment everything changed. The captain's voice crackled through the speakers. "We're just waiting on a few more passengers, then we'll be closing the doors. Please remain seated." I opened my eyes, stared at the back of the seat in front of me, tried to breathe slow. I could still feel the burn in my chest. The humiliation lingered like smoke, the kind that stays in your clothes. I could hear the flight attendant chatting softly with someone in the galley. Her voice was lighter now, relaxed, like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't dragged me into a performance just to satisfy her bias. Then the plane door opened again. I didn't look up right away. I just heard the footsteps. Confident, calm, measured. Then I heard a woman near the back gasp, then a few murmurs, then silence. I turned my head and smiled. My husband had boarded. And suddenly the air changed. He wasn't loud, didn't announce himself, didn't wear anything flashy, just a dark suit, badge clipped to his belt, and a calm expression that could freeze a room. I saw the flight attendant's eyes widen the moment she spotted him. She took a step forward, probably to greet him like she did with the others. But then she saw the badge, the glint of it. She froze mid-step. He walked past her like she wasn't even there, straight to me. "You good?" he asked, voice low. I nodded as, "I'm good now." He looked around the cabin slowly. Passengers stared, then quickly looked away. The same people who ignored the confrontation earlier were suddenly fascinated by the floor. He reached up, tucked my bag properly into the overhead, and kissed the top of my head. Then he turned to the flight attendant, who was now standing stiff near the galley. "You pulled my wife out of her seat?" he asked. Calm, controlled, deadly soft. "It was a verification issue," she said quickly. "We were just making sure everything was correct." "So you checked everyone's tickets?" "Sir, just hers, right?" She faltered. "There was an alert. Possibly a double booking. These things happen." "You asked to see her receipt," he said. "You made her wait. Stand in the aisle while others watched. You didn't do that to anyone else on this flight." She opened her mouth, closed it. "Name and employee ID," he said. No change in tone, just command. She looked like she wanted to vanish. "Sir, Now." She blinked rapidly, then handed over a small card from her apron. He took a photo, pocketed it. "And yours?" he asked the second attendant, who had hovered nearby. "I wasn't involved," she whispered, "but you watched. You saw it happen." The second woman said nothing. He took her badge too. "Expect a formal complaint," he said. "Federal." Then he walked back to his seat next to mine. Calm, cold, efficient. The flight attendant didn't speak to us again, didn't offer a drink, didn't say a word, just hovered in silence like the ghost of her own choices. The plane took off. I leaned into him. "I was going to handle it," I said. "I know," he replied, "but sometimes it helps when they realize who they're messing with." "You think she learned something?" "Doesn't matter," he said. "Everyone else watching did." And that hit me. The quiet truth. The whispers had stopped. The silence in first class wasn't comfort. It was guilt, shame, realization. People knew what they saw. They knew she singled me out. They knew it could have been them. And now they knew it wasn't going unnoticed. That mattered. Because silence is complicity. And that plane had been filled with it until he walked on, not because of his badge, but because he looked them in the eye and made them see it, made them feel it. That mattered. The flight was quiet, unnaturally so. No polite chatter, no casual smiles, just the low hum of the engines and the weight of what had happened. The attendant walked past us twice. Each time, her steps got a little faster. She didn't ask if we wanted anything, didn't offer snacks, water, not even eye contact. I didn't mind. I wasn't thirsty. I wasn't hungry. I was just tired. Not the kind of tired you fix with sleep. The kind that sinks into your bones. The kind that comes from being watched, doubted, measured every time you step into a space they think you don't belong in. I leaned my head against the window and watched clouds pass like slow-moving ghosts. I thought about how many people had been in my position before, silently shamed, publicly humiliated, doubted, and how many of them didn't have anyone walk in for them. No badge, no backup, just the loneliness of being disbelieved. The flight landed after 4 hours. We stayed seated, let the crowd shuffle out first. As people passed us, a few nodded. One woman, maybe late 50s, white, expensive coat, paused. "I saw what she did," she whispered. "I'm sorry." I nodded, didn't trust myself to speak. Another man gave us a short, respectful glance, then he turned and left. Small things, but they mattered. The flight attendant was at the front again when we walked out. She stood rigid, as if carved from stone. Her eyes darted but never landed on ours. My husband stopped in front of her. "You'll hear from us," he said, then added, "and from others." She didn't answer, just looked past him like air. Outside the gate, a uniformed man was waiting. Airline supervisor, my husband had called ahead, filed the report, gave the details. The man took our statement again. His face was pale. "We'll investigate immediately," he said. "This isn't who we are." I almost laughed because yes, it is. Maybe not everyone, maybe not all the time, but it happens enough that it is who you are until you change it, until you fix it, until you stop acting surprised every time it surfaces. He handed us a number, promised follow-up. We walked out of the airport slowly, hand in hand. The sun had started to set, orange streaks across the sky. I felt heavy, but not broken, not small, not silenced. Later that night, my husband got a call. His friend from a federal office had flagged the complaint, said it was going up the chain, fast, said it wasn't the first time someone had filed against her. My heart jumped. Wait, she's done this before? "At least twice," he said, "but this time she picked the wrong one." A week later, she was gone. Suspended pending investigation, removed from flight duty. Her name scrubbed from the system. The airline issued a statement. Apology vague, generic, corporate. We are committed to inclusivity. We do not tolerate discrimination. We are reviewing our training procedures. It was meaningless, words without spine. But something had shifted because the story got out. Someone on that flight had posted about it. It spread, comments flooded in, some hateful, most furious, most supportive. Other stories surfaced, other people who'd flown with her, who had similar experiences. The airline couldn't bury it anymore. They made a public promise: overhaul bias training, anonymous incident reporting, and yes, an internal review of past complaints. Small steps, maybe just PR, but still, movement. A ripple in still water. A week later, I was invited to speak on a podcast, then a panel, then a conference. People wanted to talk, to ask, to learn. I didn't do it to become a voice. I didn't want the attention. But I understood the assignment, because silence protects systems, and stories shake them. So I spoke. Calm, clear, just like I did that day on the plane, and I said this: they didn't question my boarding pass, they questioned my presence. They didn't doubt the seat, they doubted the person in it, me. That's what racism looks like now. Not always slurs, not always violence. Sometimes it's the cold tone, the extra check, the refusal to believe you are where you say you are, the assumption that you need to be explained, justified, shrunk. But I won't shrink, not now, not ever. And if you're watching this, if you've ever felt that stare, that question, that moment of you don't belong here, I want you to remember, yes, you do. You belong in that seat, that room, that office, that world, your skin, your voice, your presence. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't need approval. It is enough. It always was. And one more thing, to the people who watched it happen and said nothing, say something next time, because when you stay silent, you choose the side of the one holding the power, not the one absorbing the blow. We don't need saviors, we need allies, we need witnesses who act, because power only wins when no one pushes back. And that day, on that flight, I pushed back. Quietly, firmly, completely. And I won. We won. Subscribe to our channel and like video if you want to get more stories.